I'm JEKYLL Jones from Gangs of Old Ladies, here with the musical maestro Simon Unknown to talk about our new 3P, Death Magic Volume 1, which I think is the best work we've ever done. And that's basically because Simon wrote the entire thing, also engineered the entire thing, mixed the entire thing, and made it what it is.
Very impressive, guys. Thanks for joining us this evening.
No worries.
As you mentioned, Gangs of Old Ladies recently released a 3P titled Death Magic Volume 1. So you've been out a couple of weeks now. How's the early reception been?
Seems to be going well. Yeah. If the numbers are anything to go by, it's it's past all our other previous releases already. Which is great. Yeah, it's been pretty positive so far.
We're a bit shocked actually, because Raped by Ghosts is probably our most popular track. I think that's on 20,400 views and it's been out for 12 months. And Possessed has been out for 21 days and it's about 130 views behind at the moment. So
Jeez.
Yeah, we're pretty surprised by those numbers as well.
Yeah, well, you must be doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an awesome feeling because we make this for us. There's no money in it. I was having a conversation the other week before it became a news piece with Dani Filth about how he did the 25 million streams and got something like an £18 check from Spotify, and they make money from touring, but there's no money in it. Basically, just putting stuff out. You have to love what you do, and we love doing it. And when you turn around and you put it out there, and all of a sudden 20,000 people have watched it, that's brilliant. Like that's payment for me.
Damn straight. So for people who don't know, like Gangs of Old Ladies had strong personal and musical ties with former Soilwork guitarist David Andersson, who sadly left us in September last year. So Death Magic Volume 1 is dedicated to him and his memory, guys. So how so?
Basically, the first track, Avrisa från Stockholm, which is Swedish for departure from Stockholm, is in David's final months. He was in hospital in Stockholm. He hated Stockholm. And we would video chat every second or third day for hours and hours on end. We were very close, me and him. I'd actually take the phone down while we were on video messenger and we'd watch the sunrise together and stuff. And I knew everything that was sort of going on with him personally and Soilwork. And we were kind of working on music in the background, and it was meant to be some other stuff, but then David passed, and we call it the AD effect, after David effect. It was almost like he passed this magic onto us, and Simon all of a sudden just gave us these tracks that were not only a lot more sophisticated than anything else we've ever done, but all of a sudden there was like violins and cellos and double bass, and there was symphonic resonance in there. And I was like, how did you do this? It just like all of a sudden came to be. And he was like, I don't know. and that's kind of where the title comes from as well. It's just like we only got this inspiration. With the girls that have joined the band, they were sort of, they came on board when David was still with us. He was very much a fan of Luna Black's voice and loves Zoskia's ideas. She does a lot of dancing and stuff as well, a lot of pole routines on her Instagram pages. And then it just kind of turned out that after we lost him, it was almost the right recipe, even to the point that one of his other projects was with a French lady called Tabrisk, called Satie. She's actually on the back of Soilwork's last album, credited as a voice. She makes videos, and she was the one who made the video clip for Avrisa. And I'm very good friends with David's mum and his sister. It's actually David's sister's voice that you hear at the end of Avrisa that says Farvel vackra bror, which means farewell, beautiful brother in Swedish. And it was just, for them, they think it's a beautiful thing to have something that is of David's, but at the same time, not taking the limelight away from him, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I wanted to run through each track individually and give us a meaning and a story behind it. So you've already given us a Avrisa från Stockholm. So how about Possessed?
Well, David sent through what would become Avrisa från Stockholm, and what was intended to be for something else initially, and when he sent it through and after he passed, I thought it sounded pretty good as a standalone track, and so I added a little bit to it and really liked the vibe that it gave off, and wanted the sort of whole theme of the 3P to follow on from that. So yeah, I wanted all three tracks to kind of link together in some way, which I feel they do. However, they sort of stand alone as well in their own right. So Possessed, yeah, both tracks sent through to JEKYLL at the same time, and he jumped on Possessed first.
Possessed is just outright that when David was in hospital, Soilwork put up the post saying that David's death was due to mental illness and alcoholism, which isn't true. He had issues, but basically David died of starvation and COVID complications. And one of the things that we promised each other when he was in hospital was we'd get our shit together. And yeah, I am no stranger to opiates. And I actually went on the ODT program, and that was kind of fulfilling one of my promises. But I didn't want to sort of glorify opium and heroin. I just wanted to sort of more talk about it in an artistic kind of way. And you really do kind of sell your soul, and trust me, there's no getting out of it for free. You pay the piper. And that's pretty much what Possessed is about. It is about being a junkie, and my heart goes out to anyone else who's suffered through withdrawals, because they are the most horrific thing in the universe. And I can't explain it without saying it feels like your soul's being wrenched out of your body 24/7 for 2 or 3 weeks straight. It's a pretty horrible feeling, and that song is meant to basically sort of encompass what that what it's like to deal with that drug demon, I guess.
Which leads us on to the next song, which is Inner Demons. What's that one about?
That was just straight up because after talking about that, and you know, a lot of people go, oh, yeah, people got inner demons and whatever else, and I sort of went, well, I don't really think we've got inner demons. It's like, don't get me wrong, you'll end up in a bad place, but you know, heroin makes you feel really good. A few drinks makes you feel really good, but if you don't have self-control, you'll end up in a really bad place. But I find the whole concept of blaming, you know, like, oh yeah, he's got his own personal demons or his own personal issues. Like, we all have issues, but to kind of Christianize and spiritualize it down into that sort of point and blame it on sin, we have a shared hatred of religion, I guess. So I basically just wanted to write one of those songs that, as Nurgle sort of says, you know, is basically giving the middle finger to the Christian church and the idea of Christian sort of ideology. And that's what Inner Demons is. And the great thing is about having Luna Black is that instead of it just being this like full-on jackhammer rant, all of a sudden there's these beautiful vocals, and especially that dreamy passage of hers at the end, which gets stuck in your head. It's really kind of it's evolved. We've evolved quite a lot now, and it's fantastic because it's not just us. Like, we're all sort of feeding off each other. And I remember after we recorded it, I was talking to Simon the next day, and I was like, man, that thing, because she just did that ad lib in the studio, and it was stuck in my head the next morning when I woke up like a earworm. And then when she actually got like one of the final versions of the track, she was messaging me going, oh, for her, it was the chorus. She goes, I can't get the bloody chorus out of my head. So it just sort of worked. And we were lucky enough to get Gary Holt to do the start bit, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so, and it's a nice sort of rompy little track to finish. And then this weekend, actually, Morgan, who was David's very close friend, is also making us another visualizer. So that'll be a new film clip going up this weekend to complete the set on YouTube.
Very nice. Now, I understand this has been a difficult time for everyone involved, guys, but tell us a bit more about David and his involvement with Gangs of Old Ladies.
It all sort of started, as you know, I do interviews myself, the Sonic Examiner, And the original track, Demonic Drug Pig, that we had, also a bit of a self sort of biopic song, that had at the end, there's George Callias from Nile, there's Francesco Pioli from Flesh God Apocalypse, there's Carl Willetts from Memoriam, there's Squiz from King Parrot, and David Andersson. There's a whole bunch of people at the end there doing chemicals, and I sent it to David, and David like, man, I really like that. You should have let me do a solo. And I was like, would you like to do a solo on the next one? He said, yeah. And then sort of that went from doing a solo to, do you want to be a band member? And he was like, yeah. And the funny thing is, we became really close friends because I'm kind of manic, and I absolutely annoyed the shit out of him and over texted him and over messaged him. And he was like, dude, this is too much. I'm like, oh, sorry, man, I'm manic. And instead of taking 2 steps back, he was like, oh, fuck, me too. And from that moment, we just got really close. So, yeah. And that was one of the sort of beautiful things about David Andersson, is that he was one of those people that it doesn't matter what your weakness was, he didn't sort of he didn't shun people, he didn't take a step back, he didn't judge, you know what I mean? Something like that was something that he would find interesting, and he would all of a sudden open up to you even more. And yeah, I do miss our conversations. So
yeah, the fact that he was so supportive of our little band as well, and you know, took a real interest in it was, you know, just a fantastic feeling. And he brought a lot to just, you know, just even by being that, he brought a lot to the group, inspired us to keep doing what we were doing. And that that really flowed on through this 3P as well, because he wanted to get more involved and get the girls on board and really work through it and really try and make something. And yeah, really feel like we could have made some really special stuff. And yeah, we still hope to use him as an influence moving forward.
We've got all these little sound clips that he sent through in hospital that they're hidden in songs. They're like Easter eggs. But that's what I said to David's mum, is that we've got enough bits and pieces that we'll be able to put little hidden bits of David on every song for Here Evermore. Because there's a little bit of I won't go into it, but there's a certain and a little bit of animosity from some of his family members about the way that other bands have kind of moved on in his demise, whereas we've just gone, oh look, David's a member forever, and that's just the way we are. And one of the great things about it was, if you said a few years ago that Simon would do a solo, no, you know what I mean? And then boom, Simon did a solo, and it's a cracker. So yeah, David led, you know, so much sort of inspiration on us, and it was cool just to be 2 dads from Brisbane putting together a metal band, and one of the guys from Soilwork like, yeah man, I'll be in your band. You know, like, yes. That's pretty cool. A friend of mine was telling me he was at a barbecue and a guy had a Soilwork shirt on, and he's like, oh yeah, my friend David Andersson plays in their band. And the guy was like, nah, and he showed him, and the guy was just blown away. And I was like, yeah. Oh, so it really, yeah, it gave us a lot of energy. And now I'm really good friends with David's mum, and just to see her reaction to the songs, and you know, his sister thinks it's beautiful and stuff. So I think that we're doing the right thing by his memory as well. So, and it just means for us that he kind of brought us all together, including Morgan, who's going to continue making videos for us. And now we get to sort of take that and keep pushing further and further. That's yeah, it's a beautiful thing, really.
It is, guys, it really is. So by virtue of the volume 1 in the title, I'm guessing that there's going to be more music to come as well.
I just did that to annoy Simon, actually.
Yeah, well, you can't call it that. People will expect another.
Yeah, he goes, don't think there's going to be a volume 2. And I'm like, no, I'm just calling it volume 1. He's like, you can't go. And the minute he got annoyed, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm calling it volume 1. So, yeah, there won't be a volume 2. There'll be more music, but no, there's no volume 2. That was just solely to annoy Simon. So
well, it's worked because you got me going as well. Well done.
Yeah, we don't go on tour, we don't play live, and a lot of people say, well, you know, how is that enjoyable as a band? And the thing is, like, some of the nights we have when we film and, you know, when we record and sort of do our when we're doing photo sessions, because everything's done in house, we we have a lot of great moments and we do have a lot of fun, but at the same time, we don't have any of those bad experiences where, like, I'm friends with a well-known Brisbane death metal band that, you know, last time they went to Melbourne, they were sleeping on the floor of the stage, you know what I mean? And that's not something I really want to do. I've no desire to do that. Yeah, so I'd rather be at home comfy in my bed. So but yeah, we have a lot of great fun. Simon's got a photo when we were filming For God and the Devil Are One. I was up a ladder, I was high as a kite, and Simon was handing me staples and holding the ladder, and we got out of time. The ladder fell, I fucking smashed onto the concrete, and there's a picture of me laying on the lounge covered in ice packs for about half an hour as a mess. And I got up and went on with it. And I said to Simon, "You have that photo?" He goes, yeah, I got it. I keep everything. And when he sent it to me, it was entitled Pathetic .jpg. And I'm like, fuck you.
Now, Gangs of Old Ladies have been called one of Australia's most unusual extreme acts. So how so?
I think it's just because I was actually listening to Simon's show. Andrew Hall really flogged us there the other week. And when he was talking about the band, he was basically saying, you know, there's so many people, like, you know, look at all those people that I mentioned on the Demonic Drug Pig. There's Gary Holt. I can't say who it is, but you know who it is, a very famous guy on Possessed in the middle there. I'm actually chatting with Adam Darsky about being on next year's track. So we tend to sort of have this, you know, Chuck Billy and Gene Hoglan were on songs, Disease of the Undead. We had Paulo from Sepultura. We sort of have this little bit of a circle of sort of bigger known people that sort of are happy to go, yeah, I'll do this, you know what I mean? And when he announced it, it made us sound like this secret super group, because he was like, you know, these people go by different names, and if you know who's who and you know who's what's what, then you know, and if you don't know, then you know you probably never find out. And it made us sound really mysterious, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I asked him, I said, what's that to do with it? And he said, oh, it's just the fact that you guys do seem to be able to just get, like, you know, how the hell did you get Chuck Billy and all those guys to do zombies? And I'm like, well, I asked him. He goes, yeah, but not many people have those guys' phone numbers. And I was like, now I get where you're coming from. So yeah,
having Joe Haley play was something pretty special for me too. One of our tracks was, yeah, pretty surreal for me.
So what's next for Gangs of Old Ladies and Guys? We just found out we haven't got a volume 2 coming up. So what's next?
Well, I'm not going to give away the title, but we let's just say that Simon used to get annoyed by my enthusiasm because I will run 1,000,000 miles an hour with an idea while he still hasn't written the first riff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not worried about that. I know you'll come through with that. I'm worried about all the other stuff. And I came across this Polish mythological female creature, half witch, half vampire, and I showed it to Zoska Zerafis, and she has absolutely lost it. And I showed it to Luna Black, and she was like, oh, Zoska would be perfect for that. So we're doing a crash course in special effects, and basically we're going to be doing something of a Polish mythological sort of horror story. And that's why I want to try and get Nurgle involved, because yeah, Behemoth being Poland's sort of biggest metal export would be pretty cool to have him on board. So, and it looks like that will happen too, which is pretty cool.
Wow, that's fantastic, guys. I've got to give you his credit, mate. He's always set the bar pretty fucking high, and he's always seemed to reach it too. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, man. That's really good to hear.
Yeah, it's great. I was listening to some stuff today, and it was really well produced, and I was listening to our stuff, and I love it. And that's one of the reasons that I love working with Simon, is because unlike other bands that go into a studio and they record and they go give it to an engineer and then a guy mixes it, that doesn't happen with us. The guy sitting beside me does everything, you know what I mean? And we're sitting in the studio now, which Simon built under his house, which blew my mind, and I love it in here. But when I first started Gangs of Old Ladies, I had a few people that didn't work out, and we've been going to heaps of concerts together, like Devil Driver and stuff, and just heaps of shows. And then I turned to him one night, I think it was just after I met Dani Filth, and I said, "You play guitar, don't you?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah." And I said, "Well, do you want to try out?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." So he came over, and it was real funny because we've been hanging out heaps, but I could tell he was nervous. So I went to the kitchen to get him a beer, and while I was in the kitchen, he set up and just knocked out a flawless Harvester of Sorrow. And I came back with his beer. I said, "Are you nervous?" And he's like, "Strangely enough, yeah." And I said, "Well, don't worry, you got the job." So, and then, yeah, about 4 weeks later, Demonic Drug Pick rocked up in my inbox, pretty much exactly how it is on YouTube. Yeah, without the vocals, but like, and that's the thing I love about Simon. I don't have to go, "Oh no, can you make that 2 bars?" Simon writes songs. And they're already perfected. They already have crescendo. They already build. I never have to change a thing. I stay out of the music. I just do the lyrical side and the music side. And even then, sometimes with some of that, Simon's got great ideas where he's like, "Oh, see that bit there? Wait there. What if you come in on this beat?" Which leads to 4 hours of frustration because I don't understand what he means. So he has to tap me on the back. Or spend 8 hours editing me into time. Yeah, so gives him something to do.
Yeah, that's it, mate. You get bored otherwise.
Yeah. I can't let him have it too easy.
Fuck no. Well, thanks very much for your time tonight, guys. It's been a pleasure finally getting to know you a bit better. Gangs of Old Ladies have Death Magic Volume 1 out now, and next project sounds even better, guys. So I can't wait to hear about that.
Fantastic. Thank you to Heavy Magazine, and thank you to everyone that's helped make this a success. We really, really appreciate your support.